What is up, everyone? We are back with another episode of Smoke and Meteoras, the podcast where we go beyond the highlights, beyond the violence, and the legends, and talk about the moments that really matter. I'm your host, Marissa, and today I am honored to be joined by independent wrestling icon, deathmatch legend, and Juggalo Championship Hall of Famer, Madman Pondo.
What is up?
Much. How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for your time to help me advertise the book.
Absolutely. I'm more than happy to have you on, man. So, we're going to talk about the road, the scars, and all the moments that stuck with you through the years and the brand new chapter of your life with your upcoming book.
All
So,
right.
let's just dive right on into that. I like
All
to
right.
start every episode with the same question. And that question is, what is the dumbest thing that you have ever done for wrestling?
For wrestling,
Yep.
I would say so CZW for Tournament of Death. I wanted to be remembered. So if you know anything about CZW, back there in the wrestling area, they just have like a war zone of weapons that all these fans have made. So I sit back. I'm a thinker. I sit back and I evaluate things. Well, all the wrestlers were going over these weapons that they wanted to use, but there was this one specific weapon. It was a bed of nails made out of number 2 pencils. And the wrestlers would look at that and they would go, "Oh, no, we're not doing that. Oh, no, I don't want to do that." Well, Necro Butcher and Brain Damage was going over their match, and Necro Butcher looked over at that and he goes, "Yeah, we ain't fucking with that." And I was like, "Oh, that is what I need to do to be remembered in this tournament." So Toby Klein took it out there with him. He gave me a Death Valley driver on it, but the bump was okay. But then after that, on my way home, I had an Asian wife sitting in my passenger seat. I had over 70-year-old Gypsy Joe sitting in my back seat. Neither one of them could drive, but I could feel the decline in my body. Something was going wrong. And then that was on a Saturday. Sunday, I lived in Charleston, West Virginia. I had tickets for the Cleveland Indians versus the Yankees. So I'm a big Yankee fan. Drove 4 hours to that, sit in those very comfortable baseball seats, then drove home. But something was wrong. And for 6 days, my body was in agony. I couldn't move my arms. I couldn't get up. I couldn't eat food without my body just being in total pain. And I had never felt that before. And come to find out, either graphite or lead, I had poisoned myself by that getting in my bloodstream. So I would say that is the dumbest thing that I have done in professional wrestling.
So, in the moment, did you understand the risks that could have happened, or did that even matter at the time?
Yes, of course, any death match can have risks in it, and I did realize, one of these could go through my spine, but like I said, CZW never let me go past the first seed, and I think I did like 3 or 4 of those. Well, I wanted to be remembered, and 4 things are remembered in that tournament of death. A guy named Blood took a bump over the top rope into a shopping cart full of light tubes and cut his knee so bad it looked like a meat cleaver in the side of a pig. They remember that Nick Gage got caught on fire. They remember that Necro Butcher won that tournament. And they remember Madman Pondo landing on a bed of pencils. So mission accomplished, but it was just 6 days of, why did I do that?
So, was that moment more about proving something to yourself or to others?
To others, that people wanted to see me in more than just one seed of a tournament. So, yeah, I guess both myself and the company. But of course, here it is, probably 15, 20 years later, and I still get asked about that pencil bump. So, like I said, mission accomplished, but it was battleship down, man. Like 6 days of horse shit. But that was the dumbest thing I did in wrestling.
And what did that moment teach you about who you were back then?
Well, it taught me more that, so I have this very sick thing that I can do, that I can turn pain off. Things that really hurt other people, I tell my mind, hey, it's not hurting you. Don't worry about it. And other than a toothache or a paper cut on my hand that I hit with something, I can do that pretty good. But for those 6 days, it told me that I am not the $6 million man, that I need to stop having those stupid thoughts like that.
So, all right, let's go back to the very beginning, back when before the name, before the history, but who you were when wrestling first found you. So, what did wrestling mean to you early on in your life before you even started to become a wrestler?
So, I had never seen wrestling until I was very, very, maybe 6, 7, or 8. I don't know. But my family's very reserved. They don't like being center of attention. You know, they don't try to be the main guy in the room. And I don't know where I came from. You know, I'm totally different. And every Sunday we would go to my grandparents' house for lunch and then dinner, and then we would go home. And it was very quiet in the house. Of course, it was family talk, and there were some nephews, and of course me and my cousins sometimes. But for the most part, it was a quiet dinner. But when Channel 7 Wrestling, which was Jerry the King Lawler, Bill Dundee, Memphis Wrestling came on, my great-grandparents would turn into something different, and there'd be like dirty motherfuckers and that son of a bitches on the TV, and me and my brother would just think that was the most hilarious thing ever, and it made me an instant fan of professional wrestling. So I loved wrestling from that point, and I watched it as much as I could. I went to live events as much as I could, and that was it. That was the spark of Madman Pondo.
So when you did first start, did you feel like you fit in, or did you kind of feel like an outsider at first?
Total outsider, because I was only 165 pounds. Everybody else there was way bigger than me. They was kicking the shit out of me weekend after weekend, more or less either trying to get me to quit or showing them that I wanted to be there. Well, I can't tell you how many times I drove home from the wrestling school with blood in my mouth or feeling my eyes swell up, all that shit. But professional wrestler is what I wanted to do. So every week I would go back. I would say, hey guys, here I am, and the same shit. And after a while, I think they just got tired of beating on me, and they realized, okay, this guy ain't going nowhere. So that's more or less how that story went.
So what pulled you towards the more extreme side of wrestling? What led to your deathmatch career?
So how old are you?
29.
29. So you might be too young, but there was this thing called tape trading.
Mm-hmm.
You were familiar with that?
Yep. I'm. It's before my time, but I know exactly what you mean.
Okay. Well, for your listeners at home that don't know, tape trading, there was a wrestling magazine called Wrestling Review that would put addresses, and then there was these things way before your time called the dirt sheets. Now the internet is a dirt sheet, you know, but back in the day there was these thing called the dirt sheet. You had to be a professional wrestler to get these things. You had to prove that you was a professional wrestler to get these things. And they would have addresses also for people in different states and different countries who wanted to trade videotapes of other wrestling companies. So my parents, I lived in a small town of Flora, Illinois, population 5,000, but my parents had one of those big satellites that you had to line up with the signal, and it was bigger than a Volkswagen, and it was sitting in their front yard. So I had tons of professional wrestling videotapes. I would record everything. It didn't matter what it was, I would record it. So I was really good at this tape trading game, and I got a hold of some Japanese and Puerto Rican deathmatch tapes. And this was before the word deathmatch was even created. We just called them bloody tapes. But I got a hold of a Mr. Danger Masanaga and Mr. Pogo compilation tape and watched it just nonstop. Loved it. Loved what I was watching. And that's more or less what sparked my interest in becoming a deathmatch wrestler, because I told myself, I'm really good with pain. I can do this stuff, and I can entertain others with this. So if not for those tape trading days, who knows if you would even know who Madman Pondo is today.
So with those tape trading days, at the time, that style of wrestling wasn't very respected. So who believed in you during that time?
So the first two to do death matches in America was Ian and Axel Rotten on ECW. They was doing Taipei death matches, barbed wire bat matches, no rope barbed wire, all these crazy matches. Well, then Ian was no longer at ECW. So I went and scoured until I found Ian Rotten, and I was out to prove to him that this was what I wanted to do, that I would be good at this, that I wouldn't pussy out on anything. So I did 1 or 2 matches with him, and he was like, okay, let's take it on the road. So then I was going all over the place doing these things. And then when IWA Mid-South started, for the first 3 months, I was the main event. So I proved to everybody that this is what I wanted to do. And then when I started making wrestling magazines, which that was your social media back then, I started being in the wrestling magazines for doing this stuff. And it was probably one of the best decisions I ever made, or you wouldn't even know who I am to get you on this podcast right now. So, yeah, that's where it all sparked right there.
So was there ever a moment early on where fear crept in and prevented you from wanting to do this, or were you always just head down, let's do it?
I think stupidity was on my side, and I was always heads down, let's do this. I would come up with innovative ways to mutilate my body for the entertainment of others, where other wrestlers was like, oh my God, you really want to take that? And I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So yeah, I would say heads down, let's go, let's do this. Face down, ass up, you name it.
So let's get more into the story behind the scars. So I feel a lot of people get to see the scars, but they don't always understand the cost behind them. So let's get a little bit more into that.
Sorry.
No worries. What did this style of wrestling take from you physically?
Physically, a wife and kids. I mean, I started going on the road, and me and my wife were so much better friends now than my ex-wife, excuse me. We're so much better friends now than we ever was when we was married. But of course, I was on the road all the time. I had 2 daughters with her. I wasn't around a lot. So I would say, yeah, family. It took family away from me, but I've been married to wrestling for 36 years, and she's let me down just like a real marriage every once in a while, but she's brought me up just like a real marriage every once in a while. So I would say family. It sucks that I lost family, but so much other cool things in my life has happened that, uh, yeah, man, me and wrestling were husband and wife.
So, outside of the physical aspect, what has it taken from you emotionally?
Emotionally, well, it was great up until here recently. So I'm 56. I was 332 pounds. I'm down to 196 pounds now. So I'm moving a lot faster in the ring. I'm coming off the top rope again, uh, doing things not as hard as I used to when I first started, but emotionally, I have all these promoters that just don't want to use me or stopped using me. That emotionally, it's got me for the first time in 36 years thinking maybe I've made a mistake. Maybe I need to get out of this shit. Maybe I need to let others go forward. But uh, I have never said the words, I'm going to quit wrestling, because I know that I'm just going to look stupid later on in life. So, because I'm going to get back in the ring. There's no doubt about that. But yeah, man, it's just maybe age caught up to me. Maybe it's I've been a boss at Big Japan. I was a big part of JCW, and I can't help guys. Some guys get into there, and that causes problems. So I get hated on. So in my 36 years, this is my first emotional breakdown of, damn it, man, what am I doing wrong? I can't figure it out. I mean, I have right now. Before it was just booking after booking, never home on the weekends, and now I have 4 bookings scheduled all the way to the end of the year. Right now, so emotionally, it's the realization that maybe I'm not what wrestling is looking for anymore.
So, have you ever felt a time where you were maybe misunderstood or judged for the way that you wrestle or the style of wrestling that you chose to go with?
Like you said in the beginning, man, there was no respect for this kind of wrestling, and it was really hard uh, going forward. Also, all the deathmatch wrestlers today need to thank all the deathmatch wrestlers from back in the day, because we are the ones that kept us alive. Um, Promoters who really don't care for me but are doing good things for death matches, I applaud those guys. Thank you so much. But it was not respected. Therefore, it was so much more difficult just to keep going weekend after weekend. But I would find these places that would either be interested or would love the style. And I just kept on going, man. And here I am. Here I am. I'm not famous, but I'm known. So I owe that all to death matches.
So, was there ever a moment where your body told you to stop, but you felt the need to keep going anyway?
Never, never. Even the 6 days of the pencils, it was never, man, I can't wait to get better. It was always, I can't wait to get better to wrestle again. Then Matthew Justice jumped off a balcony, knee first to my ribs, breaking 3 and 4, sending 4, not poking a hole, but ripping a hole in my lung, causing it to collapse. I went back to the ring and did another 7 minutes, swinging stop signs and sledgehammers and picking him up, which I think puts me in the bad motherfuckers club. Tell me if I'm wrong. But even the 12 weeks that I had to sit out, I was ready in 8. I was ready in 8 weeks. I wanted to get back in the ring, but I promised. So luckily this happened in Florida where my parents live, and my mom took care of me, and she made me promise to wait the 12 weeks. And I knew that she was on my Facebook, and I appreciate her helping me. So I waited the 12 weeks, but I was ready in 8. Um, I had gastric sleeve stomach surgery on October the 17th. October the 20th, I flew to Philadelphia and wrestled, flew home, got in a car, uh, drove to West Virginia, rode to West Virginia and wrestled on the 21st. So, yeah, man, like I said, I got stupidity on my side and I love wrestling. So, never has it been, except till now, never has it been, maybe I'm not what wrestling wants.
So let's transition to talking more about your matches, your just moments that stuck with you. Not typically big matches, but memories that carried with you throughout your career. So, what is a match or moment where you first truly felt alive?
It would have to be. So, where are you out of? Where are you from?
I'm from Massachusetts, so I'm up in New England.
Okay. So you probably haven't heard of Mancow out of Chicago. He was kind of like a Howard Stern in Chicago, but he did this thing, Mancow's Macrame Mayhem something. I can't remember what the name of it was, but what it was Kid Rock, Fuel, and Buck Cherry, and Mancow put his characters in between the concerts. Well, the first thing that happened that night was the Bloody Midgets wrestled. Well, I was part of those Bloody Midgets. I was the big guy doing the death matches. So the very first thing that happened that night, and of course the show got started late, but there was 24,000 sold out people in the Rosemont Horizon for this event. And the very first thing to go through the curtain was me. And 24,000 people, not that they knew who I was, not that they was happy to see me, but just burst into this audience cheering, and you know, it was just hypnotic of, oh my God, I'm here, man. And I think for those 24,000 sold out people, which I've done more since then, but I think that was the first time that I told myself, holy shit, I made it. I'm something in this wrestling business. And that same night, I took Bridget the Midget to a hotel and got to fuck her. So a whole bunch of things happened on that night that just really, really told myself, hey, I'm something in this wrestling world.
So, is there a match that still sits heavy with you today?
Well, one is that pencil match with Toby Klein I was telling you. But the main one, the one that was the biggest honor, 2015 for the Gathering of the Juggalos, I wrestled Terry Funk for the JCW heavyweight title and beat Terry Funk for that title. And I got to tell you, man, that's never left my mind that I got to do that. So that would be number one right there.
Have you ever walked to the back questioning if the price your body pays was too high?
Never once. All the things that I'm doing to myself. And it's about that high of having the crowd either chant your name or afterwards having them say, hey man, that was great, or jumping on the internet and seeing people talk good about what you did. Never once. It was always positive going through that curtain of whether it be a crowd of 1,500 or be a crowd of 15. As long as I got that, I was always satisfied.
Was there ever a moment where the crowd reaction felt bigger than the pain?
No, like I said, 2 New Years ago, I got the idea of letting Matt Tremont. Two people put light tubes in front of my forehead, and I let him throw a cinder block at my forehead to break the tubes. But when that cinder block hit my head, there was 10 seconds of where the hell am I? And thank God we did it at the beginning of the match. That way I told myself, hey, I got more shit to do. I got to get up. But it got a huge pop, and I got to relive that on the internet later. But that was 10 seconds of being out of it. I'll never let another person throw a cinder block at my head again, but I would say that would be the one right there.
So, is there a match tied to a personal moment in your life that happened outside of a moment or a match in wrestling that's tied to a personal moment of you outside of wrestling?
Sure is. ICP, when they was having problems with the FBI, they rented a spot to do a protest against the FBI. And I got to do a speech in between the Washington Monument and the Lincoln Memorial, right where famous presidents, famous celebrities, Forrest Gump ran into the water and yelled Sally, Sandy, or whatever the fuck her name was.
Jenny?
Huh?
Jenny?
Jenny, sorry. Jenny, sorry. Yeah, see, I get hit in the head too much. That cinder block, it got me. But being able to do that, being a small town kid from Florida, Illinois, nobody having any expectations that I would be shit in life, but getting to do that speech in front of the looking out and the Washington Monument being in front of me, the Lincoln Memorial being right behind me, that was the moment of, holy shit, this is awesome that I get to do this. I'd say that would be the moment.
So, when thinking back on these moments now, what emotion comes to mind first for you?
Thinking back on just my wrestling career.
Yeah.
I mean, look at what all I've done. 3 video games for Xbox and PlayStation, a producer for the Jerry Springer Show, in a movie with Robert Englund, with my own scene in that movie, going to 6 different countries on somebody else's dime, doing death matches, wrestling all across the United States, putting my hands on girls I got no business touching. Just, yeah, if it wasn't for wrestling, I wouldn't have done half the cool shit. Like, if I stopped wrestling today, I wouldn't have a complaint. I would be like, look at what I've done in this wrestling business. So, yeah, I got no complaints. Wrestling's been really good to me.
And if you could relive one moment just to feel it again, what moment would that be?
I had a Japanese fiance last year, and I was in Australia, and Violent J texted me and said, hey, if you I was staying 9 months in Japan, but I was so happily wrestling in Australia, and Violent J wrote me and said, hey, if you don't wrestle any shows before the gathering, I don't know if we could use you on the gathering. So I was supposed to go home, wrestle 2 more shows, spend 5 days with the fiance, and then wrestle 1 more time and then fly home. But instead, I went back to Japan, wrestled the 2 days, and instead of spending the 5 days with the fiance, I flew home. In the airport, she told me, hey, you didn't even care about my feelings. I think this is just done. I don't know when you'll make it back to Japan. So my biggest regret as of now in professional wrestling was losing my fiance, Ami Deguchi, which was supposed to be Ami Kennedy. And I haven't been back to Japan since. So she was right. She was totally right. But yeah, that's my biggest regret right now.
So you have lived a life full of stories, and you now put them all in a book. And now you're doing it a second time, but with a little bit of a twist on it. So, what made you decide it was finally time to write this second book?
Well, let's go back to the first book first, if that's okay. Uh,
Absolutely.
a guy named John Cosper wrote a book called uh, the oh my god the it's about wrestling in Kentucky. I think it's the Backwoods Brawlers. I don't know. If you go to this website, I'm going to give you here in a minute. You can buy the book. But he put a little section of me inside that book. And people kept telling him, like, hey, if you got Pondo in that little section of the book, you should have him, you should write a book about that guy because he has great stories. So John Casper, the publisher, kept asking me, and I kept saying no, 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 because I really didn't think anybody would give a shit about what I had to say. And he's a nice guy. He's a really nice guy, and probably the fifth or sixth times that he asked me, I was like, okay, let's do it. Let's write this book. And what I would do is I would talk into a recorder, and then he would write the stories. And the first book, it's called Memoirs of a Madman. I have great stories. I have embarrassing stories. I like to fuck with scammers. There's a whole me fucking with scammers in there. I think if they're wasting your time, we should waste theirs. I made it in a comic book for the bloodymidgets.com. That's in there. People gave stories to John Cosper about me, and it wound up being, it's either 248 or 348 pages of stories about me, wrestling, not wrestling, Japan, 2001 Maniacs, Jerry Springer show. I'm really proud of it, but I will say I will say I talked into a recorder, and John Cosper wrote the book. So I always ask myself, did that make me an author? But if you're interested in buying that first book, you can get that right now at Amazon.com, or you can go to visitdeadpart.com and talk to the publisher, John Cosper, yourself about getting an autographed copy. And if you buy a copy and you bring it to a wrestling show where I have my signature crimson mask, I will take some ink off my forehead and give you the bloody thumbprint on the first page. And the reason I did that is because I watched Jurassic Park, and someday when I pass away, if you want to make your own little Madman Pondo, you'll have my own DNA to make that damn thing. But you can get that book at Amazon.com or visitdeadpart.com. So moving forward, I was sitting in Japan, and a good friend of mine, Christina Harvey, she got her Facebook hacked. These fucking hackers that don't care about anybody's memories, or she had her husband passed away. She had pictures of that on there. Many family memories, many wrestling stories. Anyway, her Facebook got hacked, and I told myself how terrible that would be if that happened to me, because I don't know if you've been to my Facebook, but I have wrestling, just tons and tons of stuff that I didn't want to lose. So what I did was I wrote a book about me meeting my favorite horror icons. We're talking about Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Leatherface, Art the Clown, the real actors who played those. I've been to many, many conventions. I've been on movie sets, film festivals, but I wrote a book more or less to preserve that I met all these people. That way, if my Facebook gets hacked, I at least have that. But it's called Pondo versus the Horror Icons, and I'm really proud of it because this one, 9 months downtime in Japan, I wrote. I did hand what I wrote over to John Cosper because my grammar's terrible and I can't spell worth a shit. But he's publishing it and editing it. But I wrote this one, and now there will be no doubt about it. I'm an author. I'm an author in this world. So that makes author, that makes internet personality, that makes Jerry Springer producer, that makes video game superstar, and professional wrestler. So, you know, just my story keeps on going on and on. And this is also going to go in that book, but it's in the first book. Now it's going to be in the second book. There's a place here in Clarksville, Indiana, that sells huge concrete statues. And one of them is a big ape. And I want that to be my headstone. And I'll tell you why. I want people to be able to drive through that graveyard and not be looking for a little concrete plate or a big concrete monument. I want them to be able to drive through that graveyard and go, oh, there it is. There's that big ape. That's where Pondo's buried. Then on my plaque, whether it'll be on the ape's chest or his feet, I want it to have a skull and crossbones on it. That way, people who don't even know me is going to be like, man, that must have been a evil, sadistic son of a bitch to have a skull and crossbones on his plaque. Now, that's going to do one of two things. Wrestling fans are going to be like, yep, that's Pondo. Or people's going to be telling stories, making up stories of how evil I must have been to have that skull and crossbones on there. But when they go up to the ape, you've been to graveyards. When you see something out of the norm of just a concrete rock, people go and they look at that to see what that is. I want there to be a QVC code somewhere where people can take a picture and learn who I am. And that's going to help keep my name alive even after I pass away. So that's also going to be in the book. That's another reason that I wrote book 1 and 2, because I want to be remembered. I don't want to be forgotten. If you think about in Minnesota, what's the biggest factory that exists where people go to work and you're close to where you live? What's the biggest factory?
I have no idea.
Say a Ford factory, okay? A Ford factory. All those people are working very hard every day in that Ford factory. And I think every Ford factory has at least 10,000 employees. But once those employees pass away, their family members will remember them, their friends will remember them. But soon, people will be forgotten. Plus, they worked hard all their lives, but they're going to be forgotten. But I don't want to be. So that QVC code is going to help that mission. The 2 books is going to help that mission. Word of mouth out of people is going to help that mission of keeping my name alive after I pass away.
So, are there any stories in this new book that you have coming out that you never thought you would publicly tell?
Man, I'm always an open book, like sitting around telling wrestling stories or embarrassing stories. I don't care. You know, I did them. Therefore, I mean, every person in the world, whatever country, whatever, you know, aliens maybe, has done something in their past that they wish they didn't do. So yeah, those aren't in the book, you know, but there are so many embarrassing stories that I probably shouldn't have told that's in this book. Some illegal activities that are in this book. I mean, yeah, man, I'm an open book. Pretty much this book is just me. Like, I haven't had one complaint. Everybody says this book is an easy read. They said they've laughed out loud at stories that they've read, which is pretty impressive. And a lot of people say that they read the book in my voice. So those 3 things alone. I forget what your question was. Did I answer it?
Close enough. It was
Okay, sorry.
that works. I'll take it.
I'm so full of shit. I get to rambling on.
So, when it comes to this book, were there any emotions that came up with you while you were writing it, or were there any moments that were a little harder to put down on paper than they were to live in the moment?
Well, not in the second book, but the first book. There is a story in there where me and another wrestler almost got, in my mind, murdered. Um, Anything could have happened at this moment, and writing that while telling that into a tape recorder brought back memories of that. Uh, After that, it was hard to sleep for a couple of nights. I mean, I won't spoil what the story is, but when you read it, you'll be like, "Oh, that's the one he's talking about." But yeah, yeah, you're right. There was one story in that first book that kind of got me in my feels.
So, obviously, at this point, we know that you want to be remembered, but is any sort of emotion or feeling that you hope readers get upon finishing your book?
Well, like I said, the being remembered. You're right, but I just want people to realize that I'm a normal person. I go to these shows and I'll see fans staring at me that want to come up and talk to me, but they don't because they think I can pull barbed wire out of my asshole and cut them with it or something. I don't have those capabilities, but I do have the capability. If you come up and talk to me, I'm a good dude. I'll sign your shit for you. If I'm selling pictures or if I'm selling the book, I'll autograph that for you. If you have some memory that you want to share with me, I'll talk to you about that. And the main thing is, if you want to take a picture with me, I got no problem with that. Yeah, I think this book tells people, hey, Madman Pondo really is a human being. That's awesome.
And that kind of adds to like the whole story behind me wanting to do a podcast, because at the end of the day, you guys are human beings who put in the work for your dreams, and that's no different than myself or anybody viewing at home. Wrestling might not be your dream, but if you have a dream, you can achieve it. You just gotta work for it.
Like I said, I'm a small town kid from Flora, Illinois, and I I grasped onto a dream. Sometimes my fingers would loosen, but I would tighten them even tighter. And now I don't know if you consider Madman Pondo something in this world, but if you do, it came from a dream. And here I am. Here I am on your podcast, answering questions about stuff that I've done in my life. So dreams are meant to be met. So live your dreams.
So, looking back now, do you see your career any differently today than you did from when you first started wrestling?
I sure do. Like, of course, nobody escapes father time. I'm 56 years old now. I still try and do the craziest bumps that I can take, but it's just not enough anymore. Uh, I don't know. Over the years, I guess I've just caused heat with people, the wrong people, or of course my age, or I don't know. It's a lot different. Back in the day, I was booked every weekend and a lot of weekdays. Now I have 4 bookings up to the year 2027, and it just sucks for me. I used to live off professional wrestling. Now I'm thinking about I might have to get a real job. So, yeah, it's a lot different than back when I was younger.
So, what does it mean to you being considered a legend of your art, or even just a JCW Hall of Famer on a personal level?
Of course, but it grabs my little Grinch heart every time something like that happens. But I that word legend, I think that's for Terry Funk. That's for the Great Muta. That's for Masanaga, Mr. Danger. That's for Ric Flair. I don't even consider myself a legend. I consider myself a guy who's been in this business too long and just can't get out. But I appreciate you saying that word legend. I have accepted the word icon because icon, so there's A-listers, B and C. I think I'm down there around E or F, maybe even a little farther down. But yeah, I never really consider myself a legend, but I'm glad that other people do.
Do you feel at peace with the path you took?
I do. I really do. Like I said, wrestling's treated me so good.
And what do you want younger wrestlers to understand about this style of deathmatch?
Well, one thing I want to tell the younger wrestlers is I don't know if you've ever experienced it, but every once in a while a wrestler will come over and they'll give the weak thumb, finger, handshake. And what that used to mean back in the day was it was to show other wrestlers who's a wrestler. But now Vince McMahon has changed people saying wrestling's real into, oh, he's a great sports entertainer. So that handshake don't mean dick anymore. Stop doing that. You are grown up. You are brought up in the business saying, don't be a mark. I hate that word mark. Mark is what other wrestlers call fans who do things that fans do. Well, we're all marks or we wouldn't be in the wrestling business. And I love doing things that fans do. My point that I'm trying to get is always take the picture. It is brought up in the professional wrestling world. Don't bother the older guys. Don't take photos with the older guys. Fuck that. Too many of our brothers and sisters are dying today. Take those pictures. Always take pictures with the wrestlers. Because I have a photo in between Terry Funk and Rowdy Piper. Can I do that today? No, I cannot. I have a picture with Corey Haim. Can I do that today? No, I cannot. I have a picture with China. I have a picture with Kamala. I have a picture with Herschel Gordon Lewis. All these people that are passed away, pictures are their memories. So please stop worrying about that word mark. You want a picture with me? Just ask me. I will not make fun of you. I have never asked another wrestler or another actor or another musician, hey, can I take a picture with you? And got enough shit that I didn't want to take the picture. So always take the picture.
And that's a funny story to bring up because myself, I'm from Worcester, so I have the Worcester Palladium practically in my backyard.
Oh, wow.
And early last year, JCW came through with Juggalo weekend.
Yeah.
And I did have to work that day, but I did end up making it out afterwards, so I missed all of the wrestling. But my biggest goal that day was to get pictures with you and pictures with Mickey, and then I got there and was told you were no longer there.
Yeah. Yeah, we was fired at that point, but she's back. I'm not sure my future with JCW, but you probably will get your chance if JCW comes back to get your picture with Mickey. And someday, who knows? Maybe I'll be near you and let's take a picture. No problem.
I'll bark up Drew Cordero's tree. Maybe we can get you in for a Beyond Wrestling show one of these days.
There you go. I would love it.
All right. So, looking back on your career now, do you believe you had your moment at this stage in your life?
No. I'm still working on that moment. My story to me is not done. I'm 56. I've been doing this 36 years, but I just keep on going. I keep going to concerts of people that I want to see. I keep going to amusement parks and riding roller coasters and going to Halloween Horror Nights and going through the houses. In my mind, something huge is going to happen that hasn't happened to me already. So I just day by day keep on living, hoping that one big thing is going to happen to me.
So, what would you say is one of the proudest moments of your career?
Of my wrestling career.
Yep.
So it's not really a wrestling career thing. Can I branch it
Absolutely.
off another way? So I waited in line, a long line, to get to Kane Hodder to buy a photo and get my picture with him. And when I got up to his line, he kind of glanced up a second and he said, "You want to buy a picture?" And I said, "Yes, I do." He said, "Which one do you want?" So I looked for a second and I said, "I'll take this one." And he goes, "Pondo, right?" I was breathless. I'm like, "Yeah." I'm like, "How did you know that?" And he pulled his sleeves up and he had Hatchet Man wristbands on. And he said, "I'm a Juggalo. I know who you are. I know you're Madman Pondo." And he gave me my picture for free. Something about that moment always sticks in my mind that, man, I made it. I made it. Jason, 6 through 10, knew who I was. And to this day, still knows who I am. Vanilla Ice did the forward for my book. Just so many things. So many things. But yeah, I hope I answered your question with that.
Absolutely. And the last question that I have, how do you want to be remembered beyond the blood and the scars and the life that you lived? How do you want people to remember you?
I'm a laid back, humble guy. I want all my enemies out there to someday realize that I didn't try to cause heat with anybody. There's only three. There's three that I just never want in my life again. But all these other guys out there and girls, I didn't try to cause heat with anybody. It just happens. So, yeah, Madman Pondo is a very humble, laid back, friendly guy. I want people to realize that.
Well, let's help people realize that. I like to end all of my episodes with some fun little personality questions.
All right.
And since the theme of your newest book is around your horror experiences, I'm going to
Yeah.
gear this first question towards that.
All right.
So, if you could be in a death match with any horror character, alive, dead, imaginative, who would it be against and why?
Well, back in the day, USWA had a character called Freddy Krueger, and I had that same outfit. So I used to wrestle as Freddy Krueger, but people started booking Freddy more than they did Madman Pondo, so I stopped doing that shit. That's funny you saying that. But uh, if I had to, so let's just say it would be a three-way. It would be a three-way dance with Jason Voorhees, Michael Myers, and Madman Pondo. I'd probably be pretty happy with that.
All right. So, any fast food establishment across the US is giving you the opportunity to have your own value meal named after you, the Madman Pondo value meal. What fast food establishment would you like to have this meal at, and what would this meal consist of?
Funny you saying that. A guy named Josh Kyle in West Virginia, he had the Madman Pondo burger, which was uh, two patties. The bun was two grilled cheese
Oh,
with French fries and some kind of sauce, but it was the Madman Pondo burger. That place shut down, so maybe I closed the building down. I don't know, but there's a, I don't know if you have them in Minnesota, but we have a chain here around Kentucky, Tennessee, North Carolina. It's called the Cookout. And I am such a big fan of that. Every time I pass a cookout, even if I'm not that hungry, if I'm just a little hungry, I will still stop. And they have 40 different shakes. You can get a burger, 2 sides, which I always get nuggets and hush puppies, and a Coke for $9. It would be the cookout.
My mom lives down in South Carolina, so I'll definitely have to go check one of those out when I go to visit her.
Yeah, please do.
So you are booked cross country and you cannot fly. You're stuck driving, but you are also stuck only listening to 5 bands or artists along the way. Who is on your playlist?
Hank 3, ICP, Weird Al, Nazareth, and Marilyn Manson.
All right. If you were to give advice to any one person getting into the wrestling business today, what would that piece of advice be?
So I've come across this a bunch. I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna tell you a joke and see if you can answer it. What does a professional wrestler and a large supreme pizza not have in common?
One looks delicious. I don't know.
A large supreme pizza can feed a family of 4. So many wrestlers out there that get into wrestling and they tell themselves, okay, I can quit my job. Okay, I can quit school. No, you cannot. Stay in school, stay in your job until you figure out, okay, it took me 8 years to make over $100 in professional wrestling. I love wrestling. Wrestling's my wife, like I said, but wrestling will fail you in the beginning. It'll fail you now. It's failing me now. So that would be my advice. Just because you get into wrestling, do not quit your job. Don't quit school.
Alrighty. Well, that is everything I have for you. I do have one last segment. I'll give you the option to do that if you'd like to or not. But this
Yep.
the last segment I like to call promo roulette.
Okay.
And it's where you shoot a promo on a random item. That's all it is.
Well, why don't you give what's the name of this? It's smokes and what is that word?
Smoke and Meteoras.
Meteoras. All right, you ready?
All right, let's go for it. Promo roulette.
And what was your first name again?
My name is Marissa.
Marissa. All right. I'm Madman Pondo, and you're listening to Smokes and Meteoras. Wait a minute. What's that word again?
Meteoras.
Meteoras. I'm Madman Pondo, and you're listening to Smokes and Meteoras. You tune in, or I will come to your house and I will tear your larynx out. There you go. How's that?
That works for me. I'm gonna use that now.
I forgot your name in there. I forgot Marissa in there. Shit.
It's
Sorry.
all good. Everybody will know my name after they come in and watch, because you're gonna tear them apart if they don't.
Their larynx. Larynx will be in my hand.
All right. Well, that is everything I have for you today, Madman Pondo. Thank you so much for joining in.
Yeah, I have. Can we recap?
Absolutely.
So I have 8x10s and Japanese posters that I will autograph and send out. If you're interested in those, go to my Facebook, which is Kevin Canady, Canady. If you put Pondo after that, my page should pop right up. Or Madman Pondo with the last O being a 0, because somebody else had Madman Pondo. Go figure that shit. On Instagram. Go to either one of those and ask prices for 8x10s or Japanese poster. Also, after you read the book, because there's a part 1 and a part 2, and of course, if part 2 does good, there will be a part 3. So I want people to review me. I want them to read 1 and 2, go to my Instagram, go to my Facebook, good or bad. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you hated. That way in part 3, I can fix that. But again, that's Kevin Kennedy, Canady. Put Pondo after that. My Facebook page will pop up. Or Madman Pondo with the last O being a 0 on Instagram. And to buy the first book now and the second book in 2026, go to Amazon.com, look for Memoirs of a Madman or Pondo versus the Horror Icons. Or you can go to Amazon.com or go to the publisher, visit darkpark.com, talk to John Cosper, the publisher, about getting a autographed copy, and tell him I sent you. He's not going to treat you any different, but it makes me look good. And that's what I got, Marissa.
Absolutely. And as soon as I hop off this, I'm going to share this out on Facebook as well. I'll tag you in that. I'll tag you on Instagram to make it easier for everybody to find you. And with that being said, that is all we have for you today.
Let's let the 2 books come out. Let's let the second book come out, and we'll get back on this thing. How's that sound?
I'm down. Absolutely. So with that being said, that is all we got for you for right now, because I will be back later on today at 7:30 with
Thank you for your time.
Local. Absolutely. Thank you. We'll be back at 7:30 tonight with our local friend, Insane Dick Lane. Thank you all for joining, and we'll catch you later.